What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of At Home with Mark. Today is season 6, episode 11. And I will say, I'm going to gush a little bit, Murray. I have Mr. Murray Pulver on. Thank you so much for doing it.
Hey, I'm
Um,
happy to be here.
but I often say this to my friends about like if you could have any producer that you'd want to work with, who are your top producers? I'm always like, Blake Mills, for sure.
Yep. I'm there.
Tyler Chester and
Yeah.
Murray Pulver. Those are the
Whoa.
three people I'd love to work with.
Are you
It's,
serious? Like,
hell yeah, dude.
those are heavyweights.
Dude, I mean, we can get into this deep, but like, I feel like all the records I've heard you produce and work on, sonically, in particular, like Ariel's records, like, just sounds so beautiful. Like everything sits perfectly in the mix, and like how you guys captured the sounds. I mean, we can talk about that in detail on this, but I really mean it, man. I feel like you got a great set of ears.
Well, thanks so much. Well, it's always great when you work with great people. Speaking of Ariel, like, I mean, there's a world-class talent. So I kind of just go, yeah, it sounds good. Press record. Let's capture this, Honestly, like, half the battle is just being in the room with some greatness and those guys bring it. Like, man, but thank you so much to be included in those. That's quite the hefty list of people to be included with. So,
well, I mean, yeah, Blake is like I don't even how the hell dude, I got into Dawes huge since September.
Oh wow.
And I didn't know about them until September.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's amazing. Dawes, like, I love their first 2 records, and what I love about Dawes is that they just, you think you know them, and then they change. The next record's just completely different.
Yep.
And it's such a, like, I love that kind of artistry, and I just love that they just take chances, and that's who they are at the time, and that's what you're gonna get, and they're always amazing.
Dude, it's crazy too, because I mean, the whole lineage of that band, I understand, like, it's like that Laurel Canyon, like, acoustic, folksy thing in the beginning, but now they're a jam band now.
Oh, wow.
They are a jam band. Like, I saw them in DC 2 weeks ago. Like, I don't know if you've heard their last record, Misadventures of Doom Scroller, but
I haven't, actually.
You should listen to it. It's
I
amazing.
know.
It's amazing. But when I went to see them, I knew that they were kind of more getting into Zappa and the Dead and stuff, so they were kind of incorporating all that. And just listening, like, Taylor's songwriting is just so good.
So cool. Yeah.
So good. But so I went to see them in DC, blew my mind. And then they played at the Beacon Theater in New York this past weekend, and they did a live stream, like a couch tour thing. So I bought that. And man, I'm telling you, like, it is the most, I like looked over at my wife. She could care less. She's sitting there just like being with me in the moment. And I'm like, this band is so good. You don't even understand. Like, what you're watching is happening live right now in New York. Like, this isn't overdubs or like,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that good.
Right. Oh, that's so cool. I can't believe you just discovered them. Like,
and in the weirdest way too, Murray, I was coming home from my buddy and I went to see Pearl Jam, which is like my favorite band. That's why I play guitar.
Wow.
But we were coming home from seeing Pearl Jam in New Jersey, and he's like, "Have you ever listened to Dawes?" And I was like, "No, not really. I've heard of them, but I've never listened to them." And he put the album "We're All Gonna Die" on.
Wow.
And I'm obsessed.
Then. Killer songwriting, really great sounds, really lots of ingenuity, like within the whole band. Like, and like I said, every record just is so different. And like, I mean, all my favorite bands, like, what a lyric, like, just, I don't know, pretty great band. Yeah, I was introduced to them by a drummer that was actually from New Jersey, but lived here in Winnipeg for a while. And soon, first note, there I am. I'm with you. And then I kind of fell off, but I introduced them to this other young artist. His name's he goes by Field Guide, and it's his favorite band. It's just like Dawes is his biggest influence, and I can see why. Like, they just, I don't know. I love acts that change and sort of grow, and you're growing with them, and that's it's pretty exciting that they keep doing that, because there's not a lot of acts that do that.
No, and some people are too scared to do it. Like,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
those are all the artists that I love that take risks and, like, are dangerous with music. Like, Charlie Hunter is another person who reinvents
Ugh,
himself every record.
yeah.
Like, you can't keep
Oh,
up with that dude.
no, no. I couldn't keep up with them record one, so
But it's
Uh,
it's true. It's like that. I love the like. My favorite thing about music is I've said this a lot, but like it's like standing on the edge of a knife kind of thing. Like I like it when things are dangerous and when you're taking
oh,
risks. You know.
yeah, it's what it should be. That's I mean, that's the fun of it. That's the excitement, and I love when artists are pushing themselves to be that and don't and aren't really concerned about the audience at the moment. It's about doing what's right for them, and if they're doing what's right for them, it's the right thing for us.
Oh, 100%,
We just
man.
don't know it. We don't know it yet.
No, no, and then sometimes that's so true. Like when you first hear something of a band that you love, you might be like, oh, and then like a week later, you're still listening to, it and you're like, yeah,
I
like
know, yeah.
you know.
Oh, I get that all the time with bands I work with because, like, say the Bros or something, they're ever changing, and I know there's people that fall in love with a certain thing, and say they love the first record, and well, it's quite a bit different from that now,
Yeah.
and you just got to grow with the bands,
It's
you know.
true, and I think
Or
I mean, if you really love a band that much, man, it's the same thing with Pearl Jam. Like, I'll buy every record they put out, even if I hate it, because I
right,
wanna support them and I love them. It's like,
yeah, yeah. You just want to be part of that journey, and
mhm,
you you feel like you get to know them a little bit by investing in that. Like what's Eddie Vedder writing about these days? Like
right,
I haven't checked out a new Pearl Jam record for, unfortunately, too many years, but
yeah. It's
uh,
mostly it's the same, but
it's the same.
now it's Trump is the target. It's like, which is fine by me.
Easy
Um,
target. Yeah,
yeah, totally, dude.
there you go.
All right, well, let me back up real quick. So I wanted to ask you this question. I ask everybody this question, but what's like your earliest musical memory?
Hmm. My earliest music, man, I saw Elvis. Like just like not, I didn't see him,
Okay.
but I remember Elvis as a kid. My parents playing it around the house, but I got to say the biggest impact was I don't know how old I was, but I'm 51 now, so I think seeing Cheap Trick live at Budokan on TV, I just did not know what was happening in front of my eyes and ears. It was just like the energy, like they came out with "Hello there, ladies and gentlemen," and I was just like, "This is unbelievable. This is what I want to do with my life." And I remember, like, I was so obsessed with them as a little kid that for Halloween I'd dress as Rick Nielsen, and nobody knew who I was, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, "I'm Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick. How could you not know that? They're the greatest rock band, on the planet."
Oh, that's
And
killer.
so it was definitely like that energy was the first sort of impact, had the first impact on me musically. I was just like, this band is unbelievable. This is what I want to do with my life. you know
So what was another record after that though? And outside of Cheap Trick, was there another second seminal record that was like, oh, the journey continues now?
Well, see, I had to listen to a lot of crap records that my parents listened to. Like, although I think, like, because I love Cheap Trick and I didn't really know anything else about other bands or anything. My parents listened to the radio, AM radio, a ton. Um, and lots of like German folk music and stuff. And so I listened to a lot of accordion, etc. But I think after that, it was probably, man, I got into Van Halen at like Diver Down record, and that was just like to me like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
first of all, I knew Pretty Woman, by Roy Orbison because my parents would play that, but not like this. Like, what's going on? So I'd say like, I was an 80s rocker, but Diver Down hit me. And people say that's the worst Van Halen record, but I don't know. For me,
I
it
like
just
that record.
I love it. I love the variety in it, and I just love. I don't know. There's something about it, Hang 'Em High and tunes like that. It just blew my mind. And so,
Yeah.
I was a rocker, and but my parents were playing, and they had a little polka band, so that was practicing that band in the basement, I'd hear all that stuff, and it just kind of the bug sort of got me, I guess, between Van Halen and
Polka.
yeah, it's what everybody's influences, right? But
Yeah, your grid is so locked in because of that polka, man. You're just like
that's right.
so when did you start playing guitar then? Like, how old were you?
I played as a young guy. I played drums first, actually, and then
Okay.
realized like that's not the person at the front of the stage. Like, come on.
Right.
I wanted the spotlight. So I played guitar probably early teen, or actually probably 12 years old,
Okay.
and kind of he got serious about it. Like, I'm from a very small town outside of Winnipeg here, and had a teacher at first, and then he moved away, and so I just kind of taught myself, and yeah, I guess through the teen years of high school, I kind of really got serious about it. But I was playing in a band with all my friends who uh, we'd play Iron Maiden tunes and stuff, but my dad was this German guy's like, you guys are very good. I can't even do a German accent, but you're all very talented, but you'll never get anywhere playing this kind of music. And so he gave us this songbook that his band played, and we learned all these 50s and 60s and 70s tunes,
Oh,
and he booked us. He got us gigs every weekend through high
dude,
school. Yeah,
that's killer, man.
it was crazy. Yeah, it was really. I'm very thankful for him, doing that, and it was kind of we jam out like the same band with playing all these metal tunes and stuff, but we would, we'd go out on Fridays and Saturdays and play, you know, waltzes and polkas and the schottische and you name it. Like
Oh, man.
it's
So
crazy.
so you never threw, like, a Maiden tune in the set on the gigs
Well,
that your dad booked?
we played Van Halen's "Jump." We snuck in a couple things. I think with a Scorpion song or something.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
That's such a, like, dichotomy, like, to grow up with those 2 styles of music and be learning. Did you feel like you pulled anything out of, like, learning that music that has, like,
Totally. Yeah.
fostered your guitar life?
Well, you know what? Like I was basically a rhythm guitar player. Like that's what I loved, and that's what I was good at. And you know what? My mom, she directed a choir, and actually, uh, she didn't have any piano players to sort of back up the choir, so she just made me like play acoustic guitar for them. So that really honed my acoustic sort of rhythm chop. I think it's like, oh, I've got to be this one man band behind a choir, and it was really cool. And I learned chords that I would never have learned,
Yeah.
without the internet back
Right.
then. Yeah, so it was just kind of like using my ear a lot, and just relying on, some, the development of musicality, I guess.
See, this is why this makes sense what I was talking about with your ears. Like, you have probably spent a large portion of your career on the instrument really relying on your ears.
Oh, totally. Yeah, for sure.
Talk a little bit about that though. From that gig, like how did you develop it further? Like, did you
Well, you know what? To be honest, like I in the car, no matter what, like if I was, my parents were driving, when I was a young teenager or whatever, I would always sing the harmony to whatever lyric was happening on the radio, like verse, chorus, you name it. I would just sing the harmony or just try and find it. I was obsessed with singing harmonies.
it's
And
awesome.
it's kind of always been my favorite thing when we're doing recordings or whatever. It's just like, oh yes, it's time. And it's just, yeah, I kind of just always sang harmonies. I didn't know anything about what I was doing. I had no real theory about it. But I started taking high school band and stuff, and we kind of learn from the teacher, and get some extra theory classes and stuff. But yeah, I really didn't dive into ear training until I went to music college for 2 years, and then it all kind of you went, oh, it all came together,
Yeah.
and also kind of came apart too because I kind of lost myself for a little while. I think college kind of also made me forget what got me excited about music. You know, I
Yeah.
started trying to be somebody I wasn't, so it kind of put me back a couple years. I feel in some ways.
It's a weird time in lives, I think.
It is, yeah. I
You
think
know?
that, yeah, it's an influential time, and you want to please, and you also, you wanna learn take in, like, it's a learning time, so you're, like, taking in as much info as you can, and you're doing what you think you're supposed to, but you kind of, well, at least for me, I really lost who what got me excited about music, and tried to be somebody I wasn't. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I learned a whole heck of a lot, and, uh, and that's all kind of back there, I guess.
Totally, dude. Well,
Yeah.
so then I just learned this the other day, like, when I was just doing all my research for the show and stuff. I didn't even know that you were part of Crash Test Dummies. That's how dumb I
Yeah.
am. Like,
No,
I'm here I am, I'm just like, I love his like, all of his production stuff and everything that he and I was like, I never went back that far to, like,
well,
dig into your history.
to be honest, I was hired as a touring guitar player for them.
Mhm.
So I appeared on one record, and also, an acoustic record just with Brad, the lead singer, and myself. But, I'm on a record called A Worm's Life,
Okay.
which, was the follow-up to a record called God Shuffled His Feet, which went on to sell millions and millions of records,
Right.
and, was kind of their big breakthrough success in the US and the world. And so I was a huge fan of that record, like, them being from Winnipeg, I was just like, "Oh, man, these guys are amazing," like, and they're blowing up, and, you know, it so happened that I just ended up, auditioning, for them for their next record and made it onto the record
Man.
and toured the world, with that band for about 4 years, I guess, maybe 5.
Man, that's crazy. What
It
so
is
how long
crazy.
what were the years? Like, what was the span of time?
93 to well, 93 to 97, I guess.
Oh, man, that was, like, right in the thick of all the cool stuff in the '90s, my
Oh,
friend.
crazy like, yeah, like, we were playing shows with No Doubt and stuff when, Don't Speak is blowing up, and we're playing shows with them, and, like, it was unbelievable,
Man.
the Wallflowers, like, when One Headlight we were playing them, and I was just like, "This." I was, like, 23 years old, just losing my mind, like, "This is
Yeah.
crazy."
I mean,
Yeah,
that you
it was a wild time.
so, did you have, like, any specific moments where you were ridiculously starstruck during that time?
Oh, well, because I was an '80s metal guy, we played a show in Denmark, this big outdoor festival, and what's crazy about shows in Denmark and festivals is that you can have a kids band, then you could have Genesis, and then you can have, some thrash metal thing, and just in succession, and everybody's like, "Yeah, it's a great show," But so what was it was I remember it was a blistering hot day, and, we were going backstage to the, area where everybody was eating and stuff, and I go back there, and it's, like, probably 95 degrees out,
Ugh.
and back there, full on leather, the Scorpions, and I'm like, "Oh my god," and I was like, "This is hilarious to just be starstruck," but those are guys, like, I'd learned those solos, and, I was just, like, in love with that music when I was a kid,
Yeah,
and
man.
here they pull Brad. It was just Brad Roberts and myself, so the singer from the Dummies and myself, and he, we walk by them, and they're like, "Oh, Brad, you must come here," and so I'm with them, so I just come by, and they're like, "God Shuffled His Feet is one of my desert island records," and I'm like, "This
That's
is
amazing.
unbelievable." Yeah, Klaus Meine, the singer from, the Scorpions, is back there in full on leather, waiting to be served their food and telling Brad that, he's made one of their desert island records. It was to me, it was just like, "Okay,
Oh,
this is
man.
this is too crazy."
That has to be, like, some of the most fun like, that period, I remember I'm 43,
Yeah.
so I'm a little bit younger, not I'm not too much younger than you, but not you know what I mean? Not too
I
far
feel
off.
43, man, like,
I feel 18, so it's the same thing.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
It's like the Dolls tune, I still feel like a kid, man.
right.
Um, but I think that that period of time, especially, like, early '90s until mid to, like, '97, like you're saying,
Mhm.
that was, like, my formative
For
life.
sure.
And
Yeah.
so much music happened in that period of time. And
Yeah,
you
oh,
look
yeah.
back at the prolific nature of a lot of those bands, especially like the Seattle bands that
Oh,
were
Seattle stuff, man, and then I was really into, like, in that period of time, like San Francisco kind of like Jellyfish and
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and any offshoots, like there was a band called the Grays. I don't know if you know the Grays,
Mhm.
like with John Bryan on guitar, Jason Faulkner, and like that stuff just had huge impact on me as like, you know, what I love about music and yeah, there was a crazy like everybody talks about the 80s and yeah, I was a, child of that. But the 90s is pretty special too and pretty influential on everyone, I'm sure, and like Pearl Jam. I mean, when I heard that stuff, that was more so changing my life than the Nirvana stuff or anything. I just thought there still
Yeah.
was like the guitar solo and there was I don't know, there was just a bit more sort of playing kind of thing, like the drums on that first record, so great, until
I always talk about how, like, there's a level of sophistication of that
yeah,
band that kind of transcended what else was going on. I mean, Soundgarden
yeah,
in its own right, if you listen to Bad Motorfinger or Loud Love before 10
yeah,
or whatever,
mhm,
that stuff is pretty heady too, but,
right,
like,
is it ever?
there's something about Pearl Jam's music to me that spoke to me. Maybe it's the same thing because, like, I love Jellyfish, I love power
Mhm.
pop stuff,
Oh, yeah.
that the first Owsley record, you know
Oh,
that record?
Owsley! Whoa!
Dude,
You're
dude.
one of few that know the Owsley stuff. Well, especially up in
Oh.
here in Canada, nobody really knows Owsley, but Will Owsley.
Man, that record and Spilt Milk totally changed my life.
Woo! Good
It's
calls.
oh, dude, like, and I those 2 records came into my life because the guy that I'm in a band with now, the saxophone player in my band, I went through a bad breakup in,
Mhm.
like, the early 2000s, and he took me out every night, and we went out to the bar to have a beer and just sit and talk, and
Yeah.
he would those 2 records, he introduced me to those records that
No
summer.
way.
And
Oh,
it blew my mind, man. Like, I was
those are
like, "I didn't
mind-blowing
know
records.
there was a
Yeah.
band trying to do the Beatles type stuff, like, but
I know.
pushing it to the next level."
Next level, like, you hear everything in that stuff, Toto stuff I hear in there, or I hear Supertramp in there, I
Yep.
hear Beatles, of course, but, there's just so many influences on that Jellyfish Spilt Milk record. But it's cool that you say Owsley, like, that stuff was fantastic. Great guitar playing, great songs,
Yeah.
great playing, like, the rhythm section was, uh, that's, um
Oh, who was the bass player? He was in Ben Folds originally.
really?
Yeah, the bass player played in Ben Folds' band before Robert Sledge came in, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
Oh, what's his name? Dang it.
Oh, man.
It's gonna kill me.
So I thought there was
Uh,
a guy named Craig Young played bass, no?
so
Oh,
it might have been, but I know that there was a dude that maybe he toured with Will
oh,
Owsley
okay.
for a
Oh,
while.
that could be, yeah.
Millard? Last
Oh,
name?
yeah, yeah.
Ah.
Oh, man.
Dang it. I'll look it up afterwards. But
Yeah.
yeah, that record, man, it is if no one's listened to the Owsley self-titled record, which is his first record, you have if you like power pop stuff,
Yeah, amazing.
chef's kiss.
Killer, yeah, very tragic that, we don't
Yeah, I
hear
know.
those anymore from Owsley, but pretty
Yeah,
fantastic stuff.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me loop in since you talked a little bit about
Also Jeff Buckley, I gotta say.
oh, of course, yeah.
90s.
Grace is the only record my wife hates Jellyfish. I mean, anytime I put spilt milk on while I'm cooking dinner. She's like, "Uh-uh, uh-uh." I'm like, "Come on, man." But I did come home one day and she was spinning Grace. I got home from the
Oh,
grocery store and she was listening to Lever, You Should Have Come Over. I'm like, "All right, babe. There you go."
that's
But
that's one of my favorite records of all time for sure.
oh man, it's so good. It's so good. I had to explain to my daughter, she listens to a lot of my music now. Like in the beginning, I think my wife had her under her spell. She was listening to like all this pop stuff, and
Yeah,
now
oh, yeah.
she upstairs right before I came down, I was teaching her how to play all your favorite bands on piano.
Oh, cool.
But she is, like, super into all this stuff now that I'm exposing her to,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because she's more willing to go there, like, into whatever besides Pearl Jam, she doesn't really like Pearl Jam, which breaks my heart, but it's okay. Um,
One day.
one day, but it is interesting watching a younger generation kind of, like, find this older music and, like, resonate with it in a way. I
Mhm.
don't know. She's only 12, so it's like she's
Oh,
young,
amazing.
you know?
Oh, she's got lots of time ahead of her. It's gonna be
Yeah,
lots of influence, going on.
totally. But
Cool.
what I wanted to ask you is, so you mentioned, like, the background vocal thing, and that's
Mhm.
something that I've talked to Ariel about. I've taken a couple lessons with Ariel, and he was on the show, and
Oh, cool.
we talked about, his harmonies and stuff. Do you, when you guys work together, do you have say in that? Have you been like, "Hey,
Oh,
man."
yeah. I can't help but just throw my weight around. Uh, I mean, you've probably, if you've listened to the Bros stuff too, that's really like all those guys, we all love harmonies. Love, love it. And more so than just like, let's stack the chorus, let's, do that. I always and I'll always push it to the element where I think, well, maybe this is cheese, but it could be amazing, you
Right,
know. You got to try it. If I'm hearing it in my head, let's try it. And it's so fun with those guys like either Ariel or Joey. Like I can just say, "What about this?" And they'll leap on it, and it's funny. Like we'll just work out very quickly. Like they're both have great ears, such great ears that they can just jump on whatever we're hearing or thinking. And of course, if I say, okay, I think that's it, Joey go, well, what about the ninth? Oh yeah, of course. Like, yeah, well, let's sing a
of
sharp
course.
11. Of course, let's do it. Yeah. So yeah, I like I said, it's my favorite part of the process. And it's kind of a thing where sometimes I feel like maybe we shouldn't do as much, but I just can't stop myself. It's just because it really can take something, and it can be, it just can take things to different places, and it really excites me. And if we scrap them, that's okay. The process was still super fun.
Right.
So
Well,
yeah, I'm
so
into it.
here's "Let It Lie," and
Oh yeah, there you go.
here's "How Long."
Oh,
I did that on purpose
amazing.
for you, but
Thank you.
because both of those records, so "Let It Lie" was a record that came into my life late too. It was like 2014, I
Mhm.
think, or so.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
saw Joey on the Andertons channel, like the Meet the
yeah.
Captain kind of thing. And I had been working on playing in open E, and I love Derek Trucks like every other fool,
Mm, yeah.
trying to figure out what he was doing and all that. And then when I saw Joey, I was like, "Oh, something about him resonates with me more as
Cool.
a player."
Hmm.
Um, so when I reached out to him at the time, I was like, "Hey man, do you teach?" I was like, "I'm not a super fan. I actually just found out about you.
Yeah.
I'm a normal dude. I just want to learn what you're doing." And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So we did it and we hit it off really well.
Mhm.
And he has been a huge, I tell him all the time, he like saved my musical life. I was about to like stop playing
Oh,
because
man.
I was
Wow.
getting, I was hitting a plateau where I was just like uninspired, have
Mhm.
nothing to give the musical world, as far as I know right now.
Hmm.
And then learning how to play in open C and like putting those big ass strings on a guitar and like
Woo, you're brave.
it the sound of it just made me happier than open E,
Yeah,
I don't know what
right.
it.
Well, it's like a brand new instrument,
Yeah.
and it's a world of inspiration right there at your fingertips, and that's, I think, kind of the thing. Like, I mean, doing "Let It Lie," I mean, actually was recorded all right here in
Oh,
this
that's so
little
killer.
space.
It's awesome.
Um,
They were
but
all in the same spot? Like, everybody was
well,
in
we
there?
did the bed tracks out in a little, studio, that Strawbale constructed in the, out in this little valley where there's no cell service or anything. It was beautiful, and then we did all the rest here. And
Okay.
actually, we've done all overdubs. I this is where I do all my overdubs and stuff. So, just happened to be here today. But yeah, so um, what's interesting is at that time he was still playing standard, strung guitars and stuff, and kind of didn't really get into that till just after the record. Um,
Yeah, he told me that. That's crazy.
yeah, but yeah, there's some magic stuff on that record. I think his solo, like on Our Love, is like first take. Just
Yeah,
and he's always like, "Oh no, it's not good, not good." Oh, and
yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, I can't wait to see you try and beat it because
I
that was
know.
unbelievable." And it's funny, like he is very hard on his sleeve, like as a singer and as a guitar player and as a musician. And so the first thing is really the thing.
Yeah.
You just that's what he when he's feeling it. And then he starts thinking about other, oh, I can do this, I can do that, right? It's just a different thing that takes over. But when he is feeling the music, and yeah, almost all the solos on that whole record are first take.
That's
Yeah,
crazy, dude.
it is
He
crazy. It's just like
he's so good. It's
Why are
it's
they
funny.
so good?
Yeah, it's so and like Ariel too, like, there was that
Oh,
one,
insane.
when I saw he came through DC, like, I think this past spring, and my buddy and I went to see him, and
Mm,
his band, it's like they all just are so with it.
yeah.
There's, like, no need for a safety net in a way, do you know what I mean? Like, even though they're
Yeah.
living dangerously here and there,
Are
I
they
feel
ever?
like
Yeah.
they're all so good that
Yeah.
anybody doesn't know where the one is. Let's all you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna be fine regardless.
Yeah, we got this. Yeah, oh, and it's cool. I love it. He's taking out Winnipeg guy. Like Winnipeg is I'm sure Joey and Ariel have talked to you about it, but there's a lot of crazy talent in this city, and it's cool that they always bring out guys from here to play with them and tour with them.
Yeah.
It's a crazy place, and it's still there's still snow out on the ground and stuff, but but uh, but it sure is a place where you know a lot of great music lives and is made.
I know, and it's man, another band that I grew up loving was I Mother Earth.
Oh wow, cool from Toronto,
Like,
yeah.
that
That's
second
crazy great sounding records. Very cool. Did
yeah,
you ever get into Big Wreck?
yes, Ian Thornley's the
Yeah, Ian
man.
Thornley. Yeah,
Oh,
another
yeah.
Canadian.
I know, there's a bunch of Canadian bands I got into when I was younger, like The Tea Party.
Oh yeah, crazy.
I was into them because I thought they were weird, and I thought the guy kinda
Yeah,
sounded like Jim Morrison in a
Jim
way.
Morrison. Yeah, totally. Yeah,
So I
and
was just like,
outrageous
"Oh, I
live
like
show
that."
stuff. Yeah,
Really? I never saw them live. I only had their records, but, like, I always was intrigued by the darkness that they kinda had and carried
for
with them.
sure. There's all this Eastern sort of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
very
But the
cool.
I'm
Yeah.
Mother Earth record, that second record, Scenery and Fish,
Mhm.
that's in my top favorite rock records of all time for sure.
Great sounds, really cool stuff. Yeah, I got to work with the producer um, that did that record, and he had lots of cool tricks up his sleeve, I must say. Gavin
Oh,
Brown's his
really?
name. Yeah, and he also produced this record. Another band. I don't know if they had as much success in the U.S. I think they did. Uh, okay, there's I Mother Earth, not Our Lady Peace, but
Oh, yeah, Our
oh
Lady Peace
no.
is another band.
Anyway, I'm blanking on the name, but I thought like when I heard this one record, is just like, man, it's crazy how uh, each power chord just sounds so crisp and clean and so direct, like almost like you couldn't do it. That's impossible, and
Right.
and unless they just like I don't know, choked it, or like would kind of do a fade on the strike strings or something. But I found out like he produced this record that I was recording on, and he had this old Wurlitzer with this beat up old Boss chorus on it, and he goes, "Oh, I know what the chorus of the song needs," and he'd go to the Wurlitzer and be all distorted from this old crap chorus pedal, and he'd hit the keys and it was like, oh my God, that's how you made all those incredible power chords. It's actually a Wurlitzer with this stereo chorus pedal. Like it was mind blowing.
Just playing fifths?
Yeah, or just single notes. Just yeah, it was insane.
What? So
Yeah,
doubling the guitar kinda thing in a
yeah,
way?
yeah.
Ah,
But
that's
it
crazy.
made the heaviest sound ever, and I was like, ah, I see what you're doing.
Have you
That's why
used it
you
since? Have you tried that?
I've suggested it a few times, and yeah, we have used it on one record. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, man. Are there any
didn't
other
make it.
things that you, like, learned like that you're, like, actually have become a part of, like, your staple choices to make things sound more sonically interesting, or
Uh, I think what I picked up because I would say I'm the least technical producer on the planet.
That's fair.
I I would say what I've picked up more so from I've had an opportunity to work with some amazing producers and just be a fly on the wall and well fly in the in the process.
Right.
Um, uh, like I worked with a guy, well a bunch of people. I don't want to drop names, but everybody had like a guy Justin Niebank. He's out of Nashville. I lived in Nashville for 3 years, and he was it was just all about the vibe and and making the room and the players all feel like we got this today. This is going to be a great day of music. And I always just felt energized around. It's like, I'm going to have an amazing day and play some cool shit,
Yeah.
just being around this guy because he just makes you feel like that. And another guy, Ken Nelson out of Liverpool, he did the first two Coldplay records, and I got to make a record with him. And his thing was just about reading the room and just knowing again how to get the best out of you. Like of course, he's English, so he loved taking tea breaks when it was like, I think it's time for tea, and it's just like, why not? Let's just, and you know what? We'd go out and talk about stuff and probably unmusic related, and we'd come back and feel fresh and be ready to make great music. Like just more just about hanging out. I want to make
Yeah.
records where I'm just hanging out with my friends, you know?
Yeah, man.
And
It makes a
and
big
that's kind
difference.
of always been my I think maybe a strength is just like, let's just do good work and have a blast doing it.
Yeah.
And hopefully people hear that, even if it's the saddest song you've ever heard. Hopefully you hear the
Yeah.
love in it.
No, dude. I mean, that's the thing that I was gonna say about listening to these records. Like, did you do Hindsight too
I
with
did
Joe?
not do Hindsight. That's a young guy from here, Roman Clark. I
Oh
did
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
whiskey.
forgot that he did that. Yeah, Whiskey, and then you did Headway, right? As well as How Long?
Yes, yep. I did
Okay.
Headway. Yeah, and Ariel's got a new record that we did too. That
Already?
well, it will. I don't know when he's going to put it out. I haven't asked him.
Oh
Um,
dang, man,
but
he's
yeah,
just
we did.
writes and writes and writes.
Woo, he's yeah. We finished that actually like, oh man, probably a year ago.
Mm, that's nuts. Because
Oh, maybe not a year ago. Uh, but in the summer for sure it was done. Oh
man,
yeah, yeah.
did he get some heavy cats to play on that again?
Oh yeah, like JJ Johnson's on drums, and
Oh hell
and it's
yeah.
and it's and then it's Julian, his bass player from here in town, and yeah, it's great.
Mm,
Man, it's probably like 10, 12 songs, so yeah, around there. And then he also did an EP,
mm-hmm.
like that he did on his own, like with Ash Stone played drums. Like it was, I think, just a remote thing. He sent tracks out to everybody, and well, that's been out for a while, I think.
Yeah, that's the one with
Um,
Be Enough on it,
yeah, I
right?
wrote that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I wrote
That
that one. Yeah.
song, I love that song, dude. Like
Oh, cool.
that
Thanks.
progression, like I told him the one day when it came out, I was like, dude, I could have listened to you shed over that progression at the end for another like 3 minutes and I wouldn't have even been mad about it.
Yeah, well, man, well, I think he saved that because the solo section was different, and and I really agree with him. Like I was like, oh, it's not really going anywhere, and then we got to escape that somehow,
yeah,
and then he said, "What do you think of this?" And he just would send a little voice memo and because he lives in Montreal now, so we
mhm.
did a lot of back and forthing, and yeah, I said, oh, I love it. I think it reminded me of another song on the first record. Uh, that kind of had this long solo section. Some and
Uh,
I'm terrible with names, and it's been so many songs
Not
ago.
like Get You Back, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that one, like that song, very different chordally. Like it was nothing like that
yeah,
when we wrote it. And then I think I suggested those chords at that time. It was just like, what if we make it a little bit more? Uh, a guy we all love, Doyle Bramhall Jr.
of
Uh,
course.
was a huge influence on like myself and say Ariel and Joey and all those guys. Like we just like, I mean, Let It Lie is like we referenced some Doyle Bramhall um, and oh come on, Ray,
Mike Landau?
Sean Colvin record. Believe
Oh,
it or
Sean Colvin. Oh, okay.
not. Yeah, we were just those were our like, man, this is amazingly beautiful and this is amazingly wicked and cool.
Man, yeah, I mean, it does translate like you're saying, like, it feels it's a fun listen from start
Cool.
to finish, like, and I think like, How Long, when that came out, I was like, there's not a lot of records these days that I'm super pumped from start to finish,
Hmm.
like, through the whole
Mhm.
thing. Like, there'll
Yeah.
always be a song where I'm like, "Eh," It's,
Yeah.
it's all right. It's a good tune,
Oh yeah.
but it's not my fave. But that record from start to finish, I can just remember the first time I listened to it. It felt so good. Like, those times when you're at a house party and the house band, like your friends that are playing in the band, it sounds so good in the room.
Oh
There's
yeah.
like these endorphins pumping. It's just like
Yeah.
everyone's having a that's what I equate it to, that feeling
Oh, cool.
of synergy and just like musical like
Yeah.
love, you
Well,
know?
that on How Long, that rhythm section is, I think, Dave Landreth and actually, Ryan Baugh
Yeah.
on that record. And
Ryan's got a
so
great
so
touch.
so yeah. That's for sure, yeah,
Yeah. His
and,
tones are so great.
it's exactly it. It's all in those hands. Like, he could go to any studio, with any engineer, any bunch of mics, and he's going to sound like Ryan Baugh playing those drums. It's just crazy. There's a lot of space in his drumming. It's I think what makes it heavy is all the space between the notes,
Yeah.
and that's why he makes such an impact as a drummer, I find. Yeah.
Yeah. And his snare, like how
Yeah.
deep he tunes that thing is like a cannon. It's just like
Oh
boom.
man. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. And again, I've played on wedding gigs with him, and it's the same.
That's gotta be fun, man. Anytime you play with a really good drummer, a good really good
Oh,
rhythm section in general, like, it's just, like, giddy.
I am spoiled, man. I'm very spoiled in this town. We got lots of guys that are, yeah, I get to play with people that are just like, how did I get here?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. Well, is there a record that you produced in the past couple years that you're just like, "I'm so proud of how it turned out," like, in terms of, the performances you got out of the musicians or, like, your input into the music? Like, is there something that you're just like, "Man, I'm over the moon about this record?"
Oh man. I'm proud of every record. I really love seeing the life that they take on, because once we make them, they're not ours anymore. And
Yeah.
and so it's kind of like, other people take ownership. Like, Let It Lie will mean something to somebody, How Long means something to somebody, that we maybe never intended or just never even thought about, and that's pretty exciting. It's just like, um, just writing a song or an album or whatever. Yeah, it becomes everybody else's as soon as it's out in the world. I'm proud of every project. I learn from every project. Uh, I don't know, like, there's a new one coming out. Well, it just came out actually. This young singer songwriter here from Winnipeg is a guy named Noah Dirksen. Very different from the records, uh, that we're talking about. It's more singer songwritery. We had a guy named Ryan Freeland mix it. He's recorded and mixed the Bonnie Raitt record, the last one,
Oh, okay.
and he mixed Noah's record. I'm really excited for it. I mean, to be honest, like, I guess Let It Lie is a record that means a lot to a lot of people, and
Mhm.
it really kind of jump started my career as a producer, I would say, because before that I produced a lot of things, uh, that maybe hadn't got as much recognition or anything. Like, I feel very proud of them and I think they're great, but maybe didn't go out in the world as maybe they could have or should have. But Let
Mhm.
It Lie definitely did, and I'm thankful for a lot of people for that, especially the Bros, for having me along, because really I didn't know what I was going to really do with it. Like, a lot of those songs were very different from what they became,
Right.
but I kind of treated it as a, well, let's get in a room and jam. So we jammed. Ryan's dad is a electronic genius and has an electronic shop, and in this backyard, the garage is basically an electronic shop, and so he's working away in there, and we're jamming all the tunes and just tearing them apart, reconstructing, deconstructing, and I loved it because I felt like, oh, this is just bringing me back to my youth, like, you know, jamming in the basement with a bunch of buddies and see what we come up with. And I don't know if that happens enough.
Yeah.
A lot of things are like, oh, let's go in the studio and we'll, you know, we'll hope for a lot of studio magic in the sense of like the spontaneity, and don't get me wrong, I love that, but I love getting greasy with a bunch of guys and just like, let's let's see what we can rip apart and redo and, try, musically. And so that record was it's one of the last records I did like that. Nobody seems as willing to do that, but I feel like it has a big part of why it's special to people,
Yeah.
is like we really, dove into the songs, and I think that's exciting, and it was fun to go play them, like that, and sort of you could capitalize on the little moments a little more because you knew what was happening. You weren't just counting on some, happenstance,
Yeah.
it was planned.
And it didn't feel like even if you guys spent time on pre-production, it didn't feel stale. Like, if you listen to the
No.
record, you know how sometimes that can happen? Like, you're saying the
Yeah.
spontaneity, you lose the juice in a way?
Yeah. Yeah, and I
Didn't
think
feel
all
that
we had worked out really was rhythm section and maybe guitar approach, and arrangement of the song. And so we allowed for a lot of things like solos and like no keys beforehand. We didn't have any keys in during rehearsals. I played some guitar, Joey played some guitar. Like it was just very much like, pass things around. Let's see what sticks in the overdub process anyway.
man, that's
Yeah,
so cool, dude. That's so
yeah,
cool.
pretty
I
fun.
I mean, how has producing so many records changed the way you approach, like, your own songwriting and your own production stuff that you would wanna do? Like, because you definitely you said that you've learned a lot from everything, every, like, project, but, like, how has it changed how you do stuff for yourself even?
Oh man, I'm totally lost when it comes to myself. I'm the worst critic of myself for sure. You know, uh, I guess I love working with artists that are into taking chances, and I think that's the only way music gets progresses. And I want to take chances too, and I think that's an exciting thing I take from every project is when people like just this afternoon, I'm working with a folk artist and a very mellow song, sort of piano driven and vocal. And then she was hearing like me doing some sort of Rage Against the Machine guitar part over it. Like, we turn the pickup off, the like at a 335 and turn the neck pickup off, volume
Like,
off,
kill
and
switched
yeah,
style?
yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Are you serious?" So you had the fuzz cranked and everything, like overdrive, and it's just like that's exciting to me. I did not walk into, this afternoon session expecting that.
Yeah.
And so those kinds of things, just having an open mind and not no preconceived notions about what things have to be. I love hearing the artist in the song and not the producer in the song. You know,
Mhm.
I hear a lot of producer and a lot of music, and I just don't want to hear it. I want to hear the artist, and that's what's making people have the goosebumps and stuff and have the hair
Yeah.
stand up on their is when they're hearing somebody like I think somebody who's really great at that is like oh, man somebody who's really great at that and then I can't think of their name. I'm just blanking, but produced the Chris Stapleton stuff and the Jason Isbell stuff and Dave
Oh,
Cobb.
dude, yeah,
Dave
mhm.
Cobb, thank you. And like really great at just sort of letting the art sort of happen around them, you
Yeah.
know, and of course, when asked upon having that, I'm assuming here, just having the input and saying, well, maybe we could try this, But I do love hearing more artists than producers, so I'm totally down with trying. I guess to answer your question is just like being wide open and coming with an open mind. And there's no bad ideas.
Yeah.
Every idea is just a thought. Hey, what about this? Let's go with that. Let's chase it down.
Yeah. See, that's exactly what I was mentioning you in that Mount Rushmore of producers because you have, like what I can tell just from talking to you too, even for the last 45, 50 minutes,
Mhm,
I can tell that you have such a love of music
mhm,
and, that you care about making sure you're getting out of the artist what they want to hear at the end of the
For
day.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
what it's all about, man. Like, and that drives the like artist sound instead of the producer sound. And you
Oh, for
seem to be
sure.
great at
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I can't help it. Like, I really also believe in, you know, in the record making process. I really want to get to know people I'm working with. So that might be, a couple get-togethers beforehand. Let's go for a beer. Let's go for coffee. Let's do, go for lunch. Sort of
Right.
chat about it and just get to know the artist. So I feel like that we can, when we get here, we're like just hanging out and having a blast. To me,
Yeah, man.
that's when good stuff happens.
That's awesome, Murray.
Mhm.
I've only worked with a producer once in my life, and it was recent. It was about a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
I took my band down to Nashville to the Wood Brothers studio
Oh, cool.
and recorded a single there. And John O'Ricks, the drummer, produced it.
Nice.
And he was very like he stepped in when he needed to step in.
Yeah. Right.
And I think I played piano on this, not guitar on this track. And so it was piano and the drummer and the bass player in a totally different room, like not even in the same room with me, which was kind of weird
Hmm.
playing that way. But we started playing to a click
Yeah.
and we did a few passes. And Jono was like, okay, that's cool. What do you guys think about not doing it to a click?
Right.
And I was like, I'm fine. I mean, it seems like we're locked where all the
Yeah.
starts and stops are, even though we can't see each other. It seems like it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we did another take, and he was like, "All right, that was the one." And he was like, "Come and
Yeah.
listen." And I was like, "Jeez!" Like that's the thing is like you don't having that like objective mind,
Yeah.
that's like, "Hey, man, what about this?" Like you're saying,
It's
you
just
know?
about being a good listener, to be honest, like, and stepping away from it, like, when you're playing, uh, I think it's very difficult, like, to self-produce because 'cause you're playing, you're doing all these things, you're thinking about the song, you got all these things. You just need somebody like a Rick Rubin or something, to just sort of be the listener and really listen with like, "Well, what's making this thing tick, and what am I getting the feeling I should be getting from this?"
Yeah, man.
And, sometimes throwing away the click, what a great feeling. Like, it's just like, because then the band kind of moves like this. It's they move together and, the way they should and the way the song should probably,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just about being a really good listener and giving it any thoughts when needed. Or, in my case, sometimes I just can't help but throw things out there, but I'm
Sometimes
always,
there can't be enough cooks in the kitchen if people get too close to the music too, you know?
yes. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Very much so. Yeah.
I think that's helpful, having someone else that's outside of the band, like, "Hey, guys,
Oh, totally. Well,
how's the
especially
audience?"
when, like, for me, like, if I've written the song, I don't know how to produce it. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
It's and I feel like that, like, so say with, Joey and Dave, like, they're so close to the songs, um, it's hard to see outside them. And,
Mhm.
not, they can, but I'm just saying, like, them as an example that, uh when you're writing the thing, you've got a certain thing in mind and you can't escape it. You can't really get that out of your head. And maybe it's not the right thing, It might just be like Runaway Train was a ballad. And
Yeah.
I was like, wow, well, that's cool, but we got a lot of ballads.
Right. I'm
Uh,
glad you stepped in there if that was your idea, because that song just lifts the end of that record up, you know?
Totally, yeah. So yeah, it's just a matter of, like just hearing things or listening, looking at the lyric and reimagining, what it could be and what
Yeah.
what kind of story is it going to tell if we do this.
Man, that's awesome. Well, one day, I'll try to make it up there and work with you,
Hey,
man,
man,
because it sounds like it would be a
you are
blast, so
welcome anytime, man. Yeah, that'd be great.
Alright. You wanna do this lightning round get down? That went by quick, man.
Oh wow,
Um,
yeah, of
alright,
course.
so, Murray, here's the deal. I'm gonna put on a metronome at 112 BPM cruising
Woo,
altitude.
I'm getting nervous already.
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna ask you 10 questions, rapid fire. You don't have to you can explain your answers. I love explanations, by the way. You can tell me exactly why you chose that answer. We don't have to super fly through them, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
First one is always the same. Lennon or McCartney?
McCartney.
Super reverb or twin?
Super reverb.
Tent in the woods or hotel on the beach?
Hotel along the beach.
Amen. Super bad or Pineapple Express?
Super bad.
All right. Waffles or pancakes?
Oh, waffles.
Okay. Peanuts or single coils?
Woo! Single coils.
All right. Superpower, teleportation or time travel?
Time travel.
All right. Helicopter rides, hell yes or hell no?
Hell yes. And I get motion sickness even, but I've been on a helicopter ride and it was unbelievable.
Oh, okay. The Kinks or the Who?
Oh, the Kinks.
Okay. And here's the last one, Murray. Sometimes it's the hardest, sometimes it's the
Oh,
easiest.
okay.
If you could take one record and erase it from your memory, doesn't have to be your favorite record of all time, but if you could take one record and erase it just so you could go back and experience it again for the first time, what record would that be?
Well, we talked about it. It's either going to be Jellyfish Spilt Milk or Grace by Jeff Buckley.
All right, you can since I love both those records too, I will let you choose two. I'll let you choose two.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
I want you to tell me exactly what you love about, not just about the songs. Let's not talk about the songs, but about what you hear sonically on those two records that you were attracted to.
Sonically, well, on the Jeff Buckley one, I'm a sucker for. Well, I mean, beyond his singing and just the pure emotion and that record is all heart, and it's fire to me. But the drumming on that is fantastic,
Yeah.
and it's like, what's the guy's name? I always forget. Matt something. Anyway, Matt Johnson, I believe. And it was so funny. This is a quick little story. I was at a Rufus Wainwright concert so long ago, and I was like, man, this drummer is just knocking me out. And I don't know what it is. It's so familiar. And then Rufus Wainwright introduces the band. It's like Matt Johnson. I'm like, oh my God, just like my favorite drummer, from one of my favorite records. Like it blew my mind.
That's
And
awesome.
there's so many things. I was just like, this guy is so good. Like he's just, but I just like, I forget who produced. It's a legend who recorded that record, but there's something just magical in the guitar tones, like,
Yeah.
in Hallelujah and stuff. Like everything's just, I don't know. It fires me up, even if it's a ballad or whatever. I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing. I can't explain what it is about the record that is so great that makes me feel like that. And so,
Last Goodbye kicks me in the nuts every time I hear it, man. It's like,
so amazing.
so
Even
good.
the acoustic guitars, the shimmer, like how they're shimmering. Oh man, it's just so amazing. Last Goodbye. Oh, I love So Real too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, that whole record.
Yeah, it's unreal. Okay.
Lilac Wine is like, what the hell
hey,
am
I
I
just
listening
played
to?
Lilac Wine at a Jeff Beck tribute because he had it on a record.
Did he?
Yeah, Emotion and Commotion. And he did, like, because I was like, oh shit, I don't know what I'm gonna do for a Jeff Beck tribute. Like, I I don't have any chops anymore. And so
That's not
so
true. I've heard you
well,
play.
but yeah, I found that he did Lilac Wine with this great singer, and so we did it for this Jeff Beck thing last week.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
killer.
beautiful song. And sonically, with like, I'm a huge Jack Joseph. I'm gonna butcher his name, Jack Joseph Puig or
Oh, Roger
Puig.
Joseph Manning.
Well, that's the keyboard player, but the
Yeah.
guy who engineered the Jellyfish Spilt Milk record, Jack Joseph Puig, I think he did heavier things for John Mayer.
Oh,
And
did he?
And he
Okay.
also did. Remember the band Tonic?
Yeah.
Yeah, with if you could only see the way he produced that record.
Dang.
And check him out. He's like incredible engineer, one of my faves.
Okay.
And so he did Jellyfish Spilt Milk, and I feel like sonically, like there's just I could listen to it and I've listened to that record a million times and still discover something new.
Yeah.
And it's way more dense than any record I've ever even thought of making, but just so amazing. Yeah, I can't get enough of it.
Dude, what is the Queen vocal trick? Is it just layer upon layer upon layer
Layer,
of
yeah,
doubling?
layer upon doubling and just killer parts. Maybe where they are on the microphone too, different things like that too. Like
I
could be
always
way
wondered
off.
that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the whole like that Killer Queen sound,
Oh,
like those
unbelievable.
gigantic vocals, like
Yeah.
oh my god, man. It's
Yeah.
just like I should try like sometime in Pro Tools to just like do a
Oh,
simple harmony and just layer. Like how many layers is it usually? Like 8 doubles?
yeah.
Like
Well, I was in a
oh.
country band and man, we triple all our BG vocals. Like, yeah, doubling. I double all BG vocals unless it's a real sort of um, you know like almost an instrument part. Like if say if Emmylou Harris was going to sing a background vocal, she's not going to double herself because it's
Yeah.
like this instrument. But yeah, I just love layering them, and so doubles or triples for all the BGs. Yeah, it
Man,
just gives it that it they sound smoother somehow and softer.
man. And that's like a skill in and of itself as a singer to be able to like
Whew, yeah,
match and
it is fun.
yeah. I can tell you love the vocal process,
Oh
man. That's
man, love it.
killer.
Yeah, that is
That's
fun
awesome.
stuff.
Dude, well, Murray, tell everybody where they can find everything about your studios. It's Stereo Bus, right?
I work at Stereo Bus a lot. It's not mine. That's Paul Yees, who's a great friend of
Okay.
all of us. And Joey actually, Joey Landreth has Studio B over there at Stereo Bus.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm
And
thinking.
I'm here at a place called Signpost Music, owned by an incredible songwriter and guitar player named Steve Bell. And but I work here often, weekly, and I guess I have murraypulver.com, but I really don't do anything with that.
Well,
I'm on Instagram, Pulver Murray.
there we go. BV,
Yeah.
thanks for moderating the chat today. BV popped up all your stuff in here to find
Oh
you.
man.
But I mean, everybody, you got to go check out it. Like every single record that this man has done, I've fallen in love with,
Oh
and
man.
it just sounds so great. I mean, all the tones you get from guitars to a Hammond to the drum sounds, like
Well,
everything.
I gotta say, like I cannot take credit for all of that. I am, part of a team that like, say Paul Yee, the great engineer over at Stereo Bus, or like Joey's a great engineer. We all sort of just have our hand in it, and I
Mhm.
like that collaborative process. When it's here, I usually do all the engineering. Um, and like for Let It Lie, we were just throwing mics in every which way, but it works out. It's at the end of the day, does it sound good or does it not? You gotta
Right.
you make those decisions, and I appreciate it, and I believe like most, you're only you're part of it. You're part of this community and team, and all those records are like it takes a village, and I'm just there to sort of help direct it, and I love doing it, and I'm lucky to work with great people.
Yeah. But don't short sell yourself because it's your ears as the like
For
out
sure.
the
Yeah.
outlier that can be like, "Hey guys, this isn't working." Like, and then that
Yes.
that
Oh yeah.
direction makes it what it is. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
you
I'll be quick to pop my 2 cents in there if
yeah.
it's not working. But yes, thank you.
Well, yeah, man, I love it. Everything that you're doing, man, it sounds so great, and I love listening to those records still to this day, and,
Oh, thanks, Mark. Well,
not that they've been out for 30 years like I'm like an old man, but, like, I consume a lot of music
well,
every day,
believe it or
so
not, Let It Lie is going to be 10 years this year,
it's
and
crazy.
so actually, little tidbit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but Joey, Dave, and myself did a little 3-piece acoustic version of it that'll come out later this year.
Oh, okay. I
Live.
feel like they've been teasing that a little bit here
Oh,
and
have they?
there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There
Yeah.
you go.
So, regardless, and I don't think they're gonna get upset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who
Good.
cares?
Yeah.
They'll do
Pre-sales.
it.
Pre-sales coming out tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, dude, yeah, thank you so much for making the time. This was really a pleasure speaking with you,
Yeah.
and,
It was fun to talk to you, man. I appreciate it. We
yeah,
got
buddy.
lots of common, uh, bands and artists we love too. So it's kind of fun.
Heck yeah. Nerdy guitarists unite, my friend.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, everybody. So hang out for a second, Murray, but everybody else, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. We'll see you next time. All right. We are.